One of the best memories for any athlete that plays at the professional level is when they sign a contract with an organization. I'm sure you've all seen pictures of an athlete holding his jersey, standing next to a team owner or a front office executive. What an amazing moment for that athlete and his family. But what you may not have thought about is that the same people standing beside that athlete, as soon as he signs his contract, their job is to find someone better than you, younger than you, and cheaper than you to replace you. Wow, it's true. So in order to stay at that level, you really have to perform at the highest level. And your play is not just going to be critiqued from year to year, but from game to game. Now everybody's seen game day, but what you don't see is the day after, when the athletes come into the facility for film study. There's an old saying in sports, the eye and the sky don't lie, which means whatever you've done during that game is going to be on display for everyone to see. So if you've made great plays, you're going to hear about it. And if you made plays that were detrimental to your team winning, you're going to hear about that as well. And that feedback is not always given in the most gentle way. So you've really got to have tough skin to be in that room. I vividly remember going into the facility after a tough game thinking to myself, what are my coaches going to say to me today? So how do we respond during these moments? How do we respond when somebody that's responsible for giving us critical feedback to help us get better? Are we open and receptive to that feedback? Or do we allow it to deflate us? Because high achievers maximize this moment with humility. As a career athlete, from youth ball to the professional level, I learned what it took to be a high achiever. I learned that high achievers not only were open to listen to feedback, but they were able to take that feedback and apply it. And I was truly humbled by all of my experiences. So the key to success is humility. We must humble ourselves during these moments and respond from a place that desires to get better. Now, humility may not be the first attribute or trait that comes to mind when we think about a high achiever, because oftentimes we think about somebody that possesses humility with maybe someone who wants to take a step back or is not ambitious or someone who simply feels more comfortable in the shadows. But in fact, those that possess humility often have a higher level of self-awareness that allow them to be more open and receptive to feedback. So how do we gain humility? I grew up in a household with a father that was a military man. He served in the Army for 20 years. And a mother that was an educator. I know that's a dynamic duo for a young man to grow up with. But what was important to my parents is that they exposed me to as much as possible, as many different experiences as possible. And one of the first things they exposed me to was music. I like to call it the gift of music. I began to play the cello in the 3rd grade, picked up the trumpet in the 5th grade, played the trumpet through high school to college, and ended up minoring in music at the collegiate level. And what I learned through playing music is that in order for me to improve, I had to be open and receptive to my instructors. That was the only way I could get better. There's nothing quite as humbling as learning how to play an instrument from scratch. And I took what I learned from music and I applied it to my athletic career. I prided myself on being coachable because I found the more coachable I was, the more knowledge I gained. The more knowledge I gained, the better I performed on the field or court. And I found that I was able to separate myself from other athletes, even if they were more athletically gifted than I was. Now, everyone may not be an athlete, and everyone may not have been critiqued at that level. But the key to gaining humility is putting yourself in situations to be humble, stepping outside of your comfort zone, and being receptive while you do so. Now, what keeps most people from stepping outside of their comfort zone and taking on new challenges? If we think long and hard about it, it will normally come down to either fear of failure or fear of judgment. But what's important to remember is anyone who has experienced a high level of success in this life and accomplished great things, they did not always start their journey projecting this ultimate poise like they had it all figured out. But what they did do was they took on challenges. They put themselves into position to learn new things. They applied that knowledge, and they didn't give up. So I want to challenge all of us. Step outside of your comfort zone. Take on new challenges, as many experiences as possible. Put yourself in a position to be humbled and be receptive during that. And what you'll find is throughout that process, you'll gain the humility needed. And you will not only be more receptive to feedback, but you will crave it, because you will see the correlation between knowledge and your journey to success. And once you truly embrace humility, it will change the way you live your life. It will change the way you think, and that thinking can change the world. Thank you.